Level 25, Sunqua Peak. This is the number 1 fractal on my list of troublesome fractals. It's the gatekeeper to tier 2, and it might be the only fractal that's not possible to solo. After a few days of rest after the annoying fractal that was level 24, and a bit of time to theory craft on how to beat this fractal, I'm finally going to tackle this with a Berserker build on the NG. I was hoping to do this on Thief, but you'll see later that NG is better suited for this. It is possible to do this on Thief, but it's just more of a hassle. Right at the start we have our first mechanic. By picking up the orbs that drop from the lightning, we can jump higher, with 3 being the maximum. The first boss is to show off the jump mechanic. The boss itself is pretty harmless. As long as you stay away from it and weave through his lightning spheres, it's not much of an issue. The trouble starts at 66 and 33% of health, where you need to gather the 3 balls from the lightning and jump up 4 times to get rid of this phase. At higher levels, if you're not fast enough, then you will either need to dodge or find another way to survive a giant attack. Luckily on this level I can just take my time. Also introduced are the red lighting fields. If you stand in them, it's agony and it's game over. They are easily outrun though, because you get swiftness from the lightning orbs. second boss, to preview another element, is the water boss. The water boss is not really a boss, it's rather you have to free an elemental that is trapped beneath some boulders. On higher levels this is a pain, but on this level it's just 6 minutes of riveting gameplay. The elementals gave me a bit of trouble, but we're now here at the third boss, Fire. Fire is a bit tougher than I anticipated, with hard-hitting fast attacks, but it gets a little confused by my turrets, and by moving out of its way a lot of damage can be mitigated. Just like air, this boss also has two phases at 66 and 33, but this time it's not jumping, but meteors. Meteors will fall, and the closer you stand to its impact, the more damage you get. And if you get hit by the shockwave, where you can jump over or dodge it, you will get a high stack of burning. After the meteors have fallen, you need to quickly retreat behind it, or in front of it, to avoid a giant attack. after the 3 elemental bosses, we now arrive at the end boss. The end boss incorporates all 3 elements we've just learned about, starting with the wind phase. The attacks to look out for are the ones where she will go to the middle and throw a lot of orbs into the arena. There's 2 variants. One with an arrow, where you have to not stand in the path of the orbs, where she throws a lot in the start, which will explode after a while. These give agony, and is an easy way to repeat. Basically, everything gives agony, if you're not sure. Everything is death, so I tried to avoid everything I could, and I sort of succeeded. There's just one attack that's unavoidable, which deals more damage to other players than you, so as a solo player that's easy to manage. Also in the air phase is a bigger version of the air elemental's jumping phase. Instead of 4, you need to jump 8 times now, with the deadly lightning. In the fire phase at 66, there will be an introductory phase where she will drop 8 meteors and shows the giant attack off again. And all meteor phases after are just 4, and like the fire boss, you have to not get hit or it's game over. All the other mechanics are the same, except now fire themed instead of lightning themed.
The water phase. This, the very last phase of the very last unique fractal, is the phase I was most scared of. During this phase she will retreat to the middle and there will be a giant vortex. In the first part she is invulnerable, but later she is vulnerable, although she reflects projectiles in the middle. Also there will be rectangles on the ground, and if you stand in it you will get agony, which for me is a certain death. All the other effects are water themed now, but the same as all the other phases. But the biggest thing in this fractal is the tidal bargain. A blue orb will spawn somewhere in the arena and it will tether to you. As long as you are tethered, you will gain a stack of tidal bargain every so often. If it reaches 10, you will gain a lot of damage and you will go down and you will keep getting damage, so you can't cheese it by rezzing up. There are a few ways to overcome this while solo. I've tested it out on every summon I could think of and every skill I could think of that mitigates damage. And my conclusion is that the Sylvari racial skills, the Ogre Pet summon, the Fire Elemental Powder and the Pocket Jade all can block the Tidal Bargain tether, as do turrets, as I've found. But there's a small trick to it. You can't just plant a turret or call upon your Fire Elemental and have them between you and the beam. You have to do the old seaweed jiggle and sidestep. For some reason that works and standing still doesn't. With this, the only difficult part is the very first part of the water phase, where you have to survive 4 orbs at once. All the other phases are just a single orb, and make the chance of getting an accidental tidal bargaining not much of an issue. And that was 25 done. I believe I've soloed all of them so far. If you think at least that allowing character swapping is also a solo thing. And also all tier 1 Fractal. I'm quite proud of myself, but the difficult part starts now, with everything getting agony and mislook instabilities are now a thing in tier 2. See you in tier 2.